Hi, my name is Liz Wheatley. I'm a partner in the Community and Social Investments team here at Perpetual. With me today is Marielle Latour, who is a director at Aspect. Would you like to tell me about your work at Aspect and your mission and who your clients are?
Aspect is one of the largest autism-specific service providers with one of the biggest school programs that is specific to autistic children. We partner with people of all ages on the spectrum and their families to actually deliver evidence-informed solutions that are person-centric, family-focused and customer-driven. In terms of our mission and purpose, it's all about delivering services to people on the spectrum that will allow them to be their different brilliant. In terms of the groups and key stakeholders we work with are obviously the people who are autistic, their families, governments, community groups, and also donors that support us.
Marielle, can you tell us about the work that you do at Aspect and the functions that you're overseeing?
I'm a non-executive director of the board, treasurer and chair of the Finance, Audit and Risk Committee. The committee is actually responsible for monitoring the investment portfolio, the financial management systems and controls, assurance programs, so internal and external audit and risk management.
So we've been working with Aspect now for a couple of years, and one of the things that we've been talking about more recently is the alignment of the values of your organisation and mission to the way that we work with you in terms of the investment portfolio. We've been using a tool, Ethos ESG. How have you found that process?
Oh, look, I think that process has been very, very enlightening for us. It's done a couple of things. One, it's allowed us to actually assess how the portfolio is actually performing from an ESG perspective. And it's also then focused our conversations around what causes and areas within the ESG sphere, if you like, that we actually want to be reflected in our portfolio that's very much aligned to what our core purpose and vision is.
What do you think are the most important values for Aspect that you would like to see reflected in your investment portfolio?
So as we went through and refined our causes and the areas we wanted to focus on, we've landed on climate, education, inclusive economies, health and wellbeing, and also gender equality and pay.
One of the things that strikes me about Aspect is that there was really strong interest in understanding the ESG structure of your portfolio. Was there a particular catalyst for that interest?
Well, I suppose we really didn't have any tools previously. There was nothing to actually effectively monitor and measure how the ESG component of our investment portfolio was performing. So it was all very qualitative. So this tool enabled us to actually see the things that we had actually chosen, the causes and the areas we wanted to focus on. How was that actually scoring and how was that very much aligned to our purpose? So, and it actually then as a result enabled a whole host of conversations that came out of that. So it's been a really worthwhile process.
I found those conversations to be really interesting, and I think that they were able to include a broader group of the directors than might not necessarily have been the case if we were talking to an investment committee. Was there anything in those results that was surprising to you or was challenging from a board perspective?
I think there was a pleasant surprise in terms of overall how the portfolio was scoring in terms of the ESG consideration. So that was a big tick. I think in terms of it did engage the rest of the board, not just the committee who has responsibility for monitoring the portfolio, and it also brought in the management team. It highlighted for us, I think, we had such a broad and lengthy list of considerations, and it was like, okay, well, what do we really want to focus on and what's really important to our clients, our students and our stakeholders.
Yeah. And in terms of the information that we found, was there anything that stood out as being particularly useful?
I think the ability to delve down into each of the causes and actually see how you're performing, but also how you were benchmarked in terms of obviously the various benchmarks around. So that was really useful. And really also, I think, the board having really in-depth conversation and really being able to see how aspects, values and purpose is actually reflected in the investment portfolio. I think that was really a pleasing aspect of the whole exercise.
Fantastic. And just in terms of where to from here, what do you see as a natural evolution of that conversation being?
Well, I think because we've now got a tool and it's on a regular basis, we can actually review the portfolio from an ESG perspective, really refine our beliefs, what is really important, go back to our stakeholders. This is an area that's continually evolving. So what becomes important to stakeholder groups will evolve. So this reporting enables us to reassess that, take any actions and potentially change the structure of our portfolio.
I think it's useful to have that deep understanding, as you say. What we're seeing, particularly in that philanthropic community and also with government as well and your stakeholders, is the expectation of organisations that even if they're not making substantive moves towards integrating ESG through the organisation, that they actually know what it looks like. And that the board and the people who are responsible for the organisation are actually looking at these things and have a good understanding of the ESG footprint of all of their activities, not just the investment portfolio. From my perspective, it's been a really interesting conversation, and I'd like to thank Aspect for being a pilot on this Ethos ESG journey. I think we've been able to understand the portfolio in a lot of detail, not only those things that are strongly aligned to your values and mission, but also those things that we don't need to continue to contemplate. I look forward to continuing the conversation both with yourself and the rest of the board. And I'd like to thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you.